Bob was being called by numerous communities. And to me and to him, that call is very precious. That call is a spiritual call. And he could do nothing but respond to it, wherever it took him. There's no way he was going to be sitting in a little church somewhere with the reality of what was happening in Selma or in Memphis, Chicago, Delano, wherever he was called to. There's no way that he was not going to be there. So it was clear to me that this person and all of his creative gifts were going to be gifts to the world wherever it needed to be.
I think his work is especially notable because it isn't just concerned with one movement for social justice, but it moves from the struggle for African American civil rights in the South to farm workers in California in the West, to the anti-war movement, and all sorts of connections between those. Depicting these movements for social change through the rank and file, through individuals, the people that actually marched and worked for voter registration or taught literacy. I think he would be most proud that he depicted them as agents for change.
I think, his work with Martin Luther King, his work with Cesar Chavez, and both of the movements that those two people were leaders of are probably Bob's real legacy. He was, personal friends with Martin Luther King. He was personal friends with Cesar Chavez. He was personal friends with Dolores Huerta. He was personal friends with all of the other leaders of both of those movements. And I think that personalization is important to Bob. And I think that Bob also became quite friendly with, important to, the regular people who the leaders were fighting for. And so Bob was able to mix and match a relationship with leaders and with people who were the rank and file members.
Well, as I said, I think his main commitment is that he's not simply a good photographer. He's a person who uses his skill for the benefit of humanity. We feel very fortunate to have someone who was that close to Martin Luther King, who is the person that, we're very close to Martin Luther King's writings, but he was right there. As the photographer. He was the person who had access to not only King when he was alive, but his family after the assassination. And so that brings us closer to the person that we spend our lives studying.
I think he has captured a sensibility for a social justice. He has captured some of the brutality that has been a part of that history, some of the police brutality, some of the brutality that's a very intimate part of racism. And what's, I think, important is that history is not from centuries ago, it's from decades ago.
The importance of this work is that it sits before us as reminders of the work that our foreparents have done in this struggle for justice and this struggle for freedom. And it's demonstrated in such a visual and concrete documentation that we will never forget what that has meant. And even now, as we struggle with the new reality of our times, we can look back and see how that has been a foundation for the work that we're doing now. Very important work, very important work.
He had a vision for the future of his photography archive, and even more importantly, he had a vision for the way in which he wanted it displayed and shared with really the world. His goal is really to, without putting words in his mouth, to empower people through the images that he's taken.
Robert, none of us who have viewed your photography over the years, none of us have remained the same, because you have touched us to our core, and you have changed us in that reality. You have, and again I go back to my religious language, you have allowed us to be rebaptized in the fire of that quest for justice and freedom for all people. And I will forever be thankful that you were gifted with that ability. Thank you.